Hello, good morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on where you're watching this, and welcome to episode 5 of Painting with Steven. So, if you watched episode 4, you'll have seen my wipeout technique. And these may not be the best for YouTube in the sense that they sort of look a little bit unfinished when you get to the end of this painting process, but once you get to the varnishing stage, I think they look pretty good. So this is a sort of fantasy rune painting. As I've said previously, I tend to paint landscapes because landscapes you can actually put yourself in and they create this incredible space for your mind to just drift off and, to find solace and this place that you can actually go in, which I think is a very, very important part of what art should do and why art is so important. I mean, the thing is that obviously everybody's talking about physical art and the rise of AI art and how that might affect the industry and painting as a whole, but the way I see it is, for one, physical art will always have an innate value, and the reason it will always have an innate value is because it was created by an organic, decaying life form, right, that is experiencing all of these complex emotions in life. And if you had, for example, a portrait painting where you told an AI thing to create a painting of a young, beautiful woman, it would be able to maybe create this image of a young, beautiful woman, but if you got a physical artist to do it, you would all of a sudden have these emotions like, did the artist have secret feelings for the sitter? Did they resent the sitter? Did they have, a relationship or some sort of like intriguing situation where there was sort of unregistered feelings there, unsaid feelings there? I think if you open an art history book, for the most part, what art history books are talking about is the artists themselves. And although paintings are obviously very important in the technique they utilize, the colors they utilize, and all of these other things, it's very important also to remember that art is intriguing because of the artist. I mean, if I do a piece of digital art and then, fire like this red dot in the middle of a white canvas with digital art, or AI art for that matter, people are going to go, okay, it's a red dot on a canvas. But if I did that in physical format and then went down to my local town centre and put it on the wall, people would all of a sudden go, why did he do that? That's such a strange, bizarre thing to do. And it's that actually creates the intrigue. It's the fact that I've done it, I've physically put my name on it, I've physically put it on a canvas, and I've taken it into the public to show people what it is. And that takes gumption, right? I mean, not everybody has that level of just out and out confidence to do that, which is what makes that painting then intriguing. I'm not a fan of modern art. I don't like paintings that seem to have almost no real substance without actually being described. But I think that's why physical art will always have its place, because it's more about the artists themselves rather than the art that you're trying to put out there, and also on that point, it is an extension of your own emotions and your own mind, which obviously is always going to be important. There's an incredible artist on YouTube called M. Francis McCarthy, and I heard him talk about something similar a couple of episodes ago on his channel, where he was talking about art as currency, you know, like moving forward in this sort of like modern era of AI and copyright infringements. For example, in my country, the Labour government have decided to implement these laws where essentially every single artist will automatically have to cede their creative material to AI learning, which is obviously a breach of copyright law. But that's why they're going to change the law so that it's not. In a world like that, where people's artistic styles can just be instantly copied, physical art will still exist, because yeah, it may be able to copy it, but it won't be able to actually create a physical copy and then hang it up on a wall and say that it was it that did it. So yeah, I do think, and you know, also then you have the emotional complexity that goes along with that, which is really what sells paintings. I mean, it's interesting because obviously I was talking about landscapes being a place where you can actually imagine yourself going in, and like, you know, exploring, you know, these ruins, for example, or, you know, like finding this tranquility, this solace, this isolation. And, you know, going back to M. Francis McCarthy, his work, if you're listening to this, M. Francis, your work is absolutely incredible in that sense. I think you always have these otherworldly emotions in your paintings. That's what really sticks out for me, and I think that's really amazing. Going back quickly to what I'm doing here, it's the same technique of episode 4 where I'm doing a wipeout technique. I'm just using a cotton bud to do it with thinner. One thing I will say is I like the colour combination I used for this one, but I would have liked to have seen actually maybe slightly more black in the sky. I do think the sky was pretty cool and it worked out well, and I like the colours used, but at the same time, you know, I probably would have liked to have seen maybe a little more black shining through in the sky, so that it looked a little bit more cosmic. But I do like what happened. You know, I do like the end result, and you know, hey, I think once it gets varnished up, it's going to look great. But I think for my next episode, episode 6, or certainly episode 7, I'm probably going to maybe do a little bit more detail work in that one. So I'm going to move away from the slightly more abstract, Whistler-esque paintings that I'm doing right now, and then I'm going to do maybe slightly more detail work on those ones. I don't know yet. I've not decided what I actually want to paint yet, but I think it will be good practice for me as well, because obviously I do more detail work paintings, and certainly toneless paintings, which is how I found M. Francis McCarthy and people like that on the YouTube scene that are doing these incredible toneless paintings. And obviously I've learned from them, you know, techniques, because I'm a self-taught artist. So, but I also do want to, you know, like see if I can get some detail work and, you know, do things that way too. So It's very exciting, and that's the brilliant thing about putting your work on YouTube, is it makes you, not only is it is exciting because you're just getting your work out there and seeing what the reaction to it is from people, but also it's exciting because it constantly gives you an excuse to paint, and it constantly makes you go, okay, well, I need to paint by the end of this week, so go and paint, which I think is a brilliant thing. And it also makes you look at your paintings from a different perspective, a very interesting different perspective, and go, well, what could I have done better here? You know, what did I do right here? What catches the eye? And I think that is a very good thing for an artist to be able to do, because it really does make you look at your paintings critically. And I mean, the camera picking up colour and light, and you know how a painting looks, is very different from obviously the human eye. Something can look very good when you're actually there standing in a room, but not so good on camera, and vice versa, which is interesting because in a way, if it looks good in real life, it almost doesn't matter if it doesn't look on doesn't look good on camera, right? So because that's the thing, like if you're trying to sell works, or you're putting works on YouTube or whatever, people, you have so little time to impress anybody, you know, so it's literally like they look at a thumbnail and they go, oh, that looks good or that looks bad. So it's very different, and it's very, very good to test yourself, I think, as an artist, and get yourself out there just to see what people actually react to and what they don't react to. But as you can see, I'm using a very similar technique for the waves that I've used in previous episodes, where I'm going in with cold wax, phthalo red in the middle, mixed with ultramarine blue and ivory black on the sides. There's a little bit of permanent purple in there, and there was also a little bit of permanent purple mixed with the ultramarine blue in the sky. I tried to keep the ultramarine blue at the sides darker, and then when I brought it into where the light is, the focal point of the centre of the painting, I mixed in permanent purple, and then also had some phthalo red in there, obviously right in the middle. So that is how I'm getting this technique. And you know, great fun. Not for everybody, but really great fun when you just want to, you know, play around with texture and get, you know, nice, you know, sort of otherworldly colours in there. I mean, obviously, this is not meant to be a realistic painting. I think the silhouettes are actually fairly realistic, obviously, when you look at, again, a Whistler and how you see shapes at night. But apart from that, the colour combinations are obviously meant to be otherworldly. They're meant to be ethereal. They're not meant to be realistic. But using what we call artistic license, you can come up with colour combinations that you love, that people's brains love, that, you know, actually soothe the soul when you look at it, instead of, you know, realistic colour combinations. So these are just finishing touches, adding more titanium white on. By the way, I'm using titanium white for all of this because, like I've mentioned in previous episodes, titanium white is a stronger white. It's got more saturation and it's got more luminosity in it, so it makes things look brighter, instead of, say, a flake white hue, which is what I would use for more of a toneless painting, where it's more, you know, let's say desaturated. And yeah, I'm just adding these finishing touches to the painting, and that's the end result. So I'm fairly happy with how it turned out. You can't really see the stars, unfortunately, in the thumbnail, but the stars I think worked out pretty good as well. They were cadmium yellow. But yeah, I'm happy with how it turned out. It looks pretty cool. So thank you very much for joining me, and I hope to see you when I post episode 6 next week. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.